Hi, guys. Welcome back to Cupcakes and Protein Shakes. I am your host, Savannah, and we're doing another episode where we're interviewing a fellow athlete. Welcome to the show and tell us your name and where you are from.
Hi, thank you. My name is Haley. I am from Atlanta, Georgia. And so,
Okay, welcome to the show. I'm really
thank
excited
you.
to dive into your journey. Well, first off, I wanted to see how did you find this show? I'm really curious about this question.
Well, I have followed Angel Competition Bikinis. That's initially where I saw you and saw Ashley, and always knew I wanted to do bikini. My best friend of probably 10 years, when I first met her, we worked at a bar together, and she had just competed, just done got her pro card, and I saw her and I was like, I want to look like her. Like, she looks incredible. So I've been following the bikini, I guess, bikini athletes for forever. And just following you, following Adam and Angel Competition Bikinis and Ashley and Kimber, I've just always, you guys all, y'all's pages helped me a lot to decide to actually compete and just go for it, and helped me get through prep. So,
Amazing. Okay, I'm really excited to have you here. So we're gonna dive right into the beginning. So what year was that when you first got introduced? Like what was the first thing that you saw? Was it your friends that was kind of the one that got you into it? And when was this?
yes. So I started working at a bar. I was probably 22, so about 8 years ago. And she was one of the bartenders. And I remember looking at her and she had arm muscles. And I was like, oh my God, I've never seen a girl look feminine and have arm muscles. I was like, I love the way she looks. So I asked her, and she was like, yeah, I do bikini competitions. I just got my pro card. She had just started, she was a trainer. So I immediately was like, can you train me? Like, teach me. So that's how our friendship blossomed. And she didn't train people to compete. She just was a personal trainer, but that's really where my love for being in the gym and working out, and where I learned kind of to be confident in the gym. And like, I remember I would sit in the car until she got there. I would not go in the gym until I knew she was in the gym. I was terrified. So that's so probably about 7 or 8 years ago is when I first saw it and knew that I wanted to do it one day.
Oh my gosh, okay. I like that. So when you decided, when you first started working with her, was it immediately like, I just want to look like you, or did you just go into a prep right away?
Oh no, it wasn't even, I never actually went into a prep then. It was more so I was always super skinny, and I did sports and could eat whatever I wanted in high school, and then got to college and didn't work out anymore. Ate, freshman 15 turned into like the freshman 30 really quick. And I just didn't like the way I look. And I asked her and was like, hey, I party a lot, I drink a lot, I don't really enjoy that right now. Will you train me? And it's funny because she tells me this now. She's like, she told me, because me and her worked until 4 o'clock in the morning. She was like, yeah, I'll meet you at the gym tomorrow 7 o'clock in the morning. And I was like, okay, I'll be there. And she in her mind was like, she's not going to show up. Like, we didn't know each other yet. And sure enough, I showed up, and I showed up every day, and I met her 3 times a week. She sent me workouts. So I met with her 3 times a week, and then she sent me workouts like to do on my own the other 2 days a week. And within 6 months, I was down like 10 pounds, and my body just looked complete. I was confident again. Like, I loved it. And then she kind of stopped training, and we were just friends, and we'd work out together and do hot yoga and just a bunch of fun fitness things. So at that point, I wasn't 100% wanting to compete. I knew I always wanted to do it, but I was never at a place where I was ready to, or like hire an actual coach or anything. So I was always like, oh, I'll do it next month, or I'll do it next year, or I'll do it after I start this job. So I kept pushing it back. And what actually made me compete is I got pregnant the beginning of 2021. And it sounds terrible to say now, but I never wanted kids. So I was really depressed. I just didn't, I didn't come from a good family background. So I never wanted to bring a child in that, because I knew they wouldn't have any family on my side. his father and their family's great. Super lucky to have them. But so I was really depressed. So I ate my whole pregnancy. The day I gave birth, I was 197 pounds. And I hated every single day of pregnancy. I hated it. I was sick. I was miserable. Couldn't work out. I had really bad vertigo. It was just terrible. So then I got the baby out of me and I was like, that's it, like go time. And I made a commitment to compete. I was like, I'm hiring a coach. I'm going to compete before he turns 2. And my first show was actually 12 days before his second birthday.
Oh my gosh. Wow. That's crazy.
Yeah. So, and now I obviously love my baby and he's my best friend. Like he's great and it's the best thing that ever happened to me. But if it wouldn't have been for him, I don't know if I ever actually would have done it. But it was kind of a now or never situation. Because after I gave birth to him, I was still 170 pounds. I was like, the biggest I've ever been in my life. I hated it. And so it was kind of my way to get myself back.
I love it. Because I mean, prep is, you had the goal for such a long time. It just kind of takes that, you just have to flip a switch somewhere where you're like, it's really just, okay, like you're ready. You're like, there's no going back. I'm 100% ready to just give it everything. And it's like, okay, I want to. And I was kind of the same way a little bit. Obviously it's different, but I heard about it first and I just love the body types. I didn't really know anything. I'm just like, oh my gosh, these girls are just beautiful. They're strong. It was at the time, like, 6-7 years ago, that's like the Victoria's Secret, like skinny wave was moving on. And I knew that myself, I could never like be that. Like I could never, like it's just not going to work for me. So I'm like, well, these girls, like I'm seeing their before pictures and I'm seeing their after pictures. I was like, I look something like this. I was like, I look very close to these before pictures. And if you're telling me that they can build, I was like, the concept of being able to control like what you looked like in your body shape and structure was very foreign because I'm like, I just didn't think that was attainable until I started falling deeply into bikini bodybuilding. And I was like, wait, all these girls came from like these before pictures to now. I was like, maybe I could do it. And so you have that little spark and then you have your friend. So proof of her, like you see her, she's like, oh, she like, this is a person I know. Like, it's not just like a random person. Like she did it. I want to do it. And then finally, okay, I'm ready to do mine. And you did it. So when was your first competition?
It was October 28th of this year.
Oh, okay. So it was the first year is this year.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Okay. So what show did you do?
I did Clash. I think it was the All South one. It was in Orlando. So
And what was it like prepping for the first time? Not competing, but prepping.
The prep. So the first year after I gave birth to my son, I really focused. I didn't want to hire a trainer yet. I was, to be honest, embarrassed of how I looked. I didn't enjoy my body. I didn't enjoy my stomach. Like everything's soft and squishy and it's just miserable. So I dedicated a whole year to getting myself comfortable in a position where I wanted to hire a coach. And so I worked out 5 days a week. I did cardio. I tracked my food. I got back to where I looked pre-baby. And then I hired a coach. My first coach, she actually wanted me to do a different show. And I worked with her for a couple months and I ended up switching. She just wasn't, I'm sure she's a great coach for some people. We just didn't work well together. And then I found my coach that I have now, and he was very attentive. Like I felt like he listened to me instead of my first coach. I do my check-ins and it'd be like, all good. See you again next week. Like didn't change anything, didn't go over anything. And so by the time I started with him, I think 28-ish weeks out because he pushed the show back. He wanted me to grow a little bit or, build a little bit more and then cut down. Honestly, the best thing that I did, I took prep one day at a time. So I would focus. If I messed up today, I'd try really hard to not let it seep into tomorrow and just like kind of be like, okay, not thinking about it, going into the next day. And there were days that were, way easier than others. The hardest part for me in prep was kind of like imposter syndrome. Like I was like, I don't look like the other, and social media is kind of a jerk because you look at these girls that have been doing it for years, and and I'm like, I'm nowhere near that. And so it was definitely a mind game, and I feel like I kind of self-sabotaged myself a little bit because I kept telling myself, well, you're not an actual bikini competitor, you're not a compete, you're not. And so I think I let that get in my mind a little bit for my first one. So the only expectation I really had with my first show was to just step on stage. I didn't have any thought of placing anything. My only goal was to step on the stage. And I was like, and then if I like it and I love it, then we'll try again next year. And so I definitely could have been better in my prep. The exercise I never missed a beat. I love working out. I love the fitness aspect. It was more diet. Like I would, oh, well, it's not like I'm getting my pro card. Let me eat, kind of thing. And I'm mad at myself that I did it, but it also, to a degree, I'm kind of glad I did, because now my next prep, I'm like, well, I did this not giving 100%. What could I do if I actually gave 100% kind of thing? So it's kind of a good learning lesson. It sucked in the moment because I got second place in true novice, and I got third in my open class. And I'm like, God, what if I would have just, actually done it 100% full out? But woulda, coulda, shoulda.
I
And
know. It takes that realization of the whole complete process, and you don't
mhm,
really realize, oh my gosh, that one day where I just like binged so hard, or I had that little extra, like how many calories would have that translated? How many pounds? How many inches? This girl
yeah,
beat me by, maybe it's just like we look so similar, but she just has like a little bit of a smaller waist. It's like,
mhm,
was that the extra carbs that I wasn't supposed to have that I had? Like those
yeah,
thoughts do come through your head. And I love it and I hate that part of it, but you kind of have this like almost like a video of your whole prep plays when you're on stage and they're giving the
mhm,
placements, and you have that little hope in your heart where you're like, maybe it's me, maybe I'm win first, but then you still know you have like that little voice that was like, oh no, all those moments that we weren't 100%, that we weren't perfect. And it's addicting because you're like, okay, well, now I know there was gaps. I know that there was room for like to progress. So when you
yeah,
know it, it's hard because then that's when the addiction to the sport comes in. I want to do it
yeah,
again. I want to do it again, but I want to do it better and I want to really try. The first one is always a challenge no matter what, because it's so much uncertainty because you're not sure how you're
mhm,
going to do your first time. It's crazy because you just don't know your identity. You are an athlete because you're doing the prep, but you're not yet because you haven't done it. So I remember at the beginning, I would be scared to say I was prepping. I was scared. I was like, I
yeah,
want people to know, like, who do I think I am doing this show? Like, I haven't done any shows before. I was like, I don't know what I'm getting into. Like, when you hear, oh, I'm a bodybuilder, I'm perfect for a bodybuilder show, you don't really think of bikini. And you're like,
yeah,
look at my little arms, and I just look lean, and you kind of don't at the beginning, don't really have the shape. So it's kind of that first prep. It's hard just to accept this new identity of like, no, I am a bodybuilder. I am an athlete, and get the confidence in yourself to win. And just now that you've literally like tasted the stage and you've been so close to getting a first place, it's that hunger and drive for more, which is why people normally stick to this sport. Because that's how I did it. I did one and I was a bucket list. I was like, I just want to just do one. I was like, I'm not going to think. I was like, I didn't even know how pro cards, national, I didn't know how the whole thing works. I'm like, I just want to just do one. I want to see if I like it. How do I know if I like it? I want to do more until I do one. Let's just do one, see how
yeah,
it goes. And then after that, make my choice. And then that's where there's two people. There's a good experience. And then there's the, okay, I want to do more and more and more. It sounds like you want to do more and you want to keep
yeah.
going. So now where are you? Did you do any more shows after that, or was that it?
No, I did the one show, and now I think I'm 7 or 8 weeks. I think 7 weeks post show. So I'm in my rebound, and then slowly starting to work my calories up, and more cardio is going down. Like typically that, and then we'll grow for quite a bit. And the goal is to do another show towards the end of next year again. So almost taking a full year to build or
Yeah, I love
get
this.
better
Okay.
at it.
This was first like reversing. You're still in it, like you're still in it pretty early. Has it been
Mm-hmm.
easy? Has it been hard?
It I will say I listen to a lot of podcasts about rebound. My coach was very good in talking to us about rebound, and he was very honest with us. He was like, some women suck at it. Rebound is really going to be what makes or breaks you. Is kind of the aspect he went. And he was like, you got to really, you got to you got to prepare for it. You got to plan for it. And a lot of obviously I listen to Bikini in the Brain and your podcast and stuff. And those help a lot. I'm glad that during my cardio, I would listen to podcasts. So I kind of knew, because it is a slippery slope. And there were weeks where my weight would fluctuate 10 pounds. And I'm like, holy crap. And then it got to a point where I looked in the mirror and I no longer liked what I looked like. And I was probably 15 pounds above stage weight. And I was like, okay, I got to reel it in. I can't do this anymore. I want to be good at this sport. And that moment, it kind of just clicked to me. It's like, I either eat this food and be happy for 5 minutes, or I actually enjoy the way I look. Like, I don't mind not being stage lean, but I don't want to be huge or, just all that hard work. It's not worth it. And it definitely probably took the first 4 weeks. My weight definitely did this. Like, I'd be good for a day and then binge for a day and good for a day. But I'm at a really good spot. So now it's the cravings are gone, and I keep like a lot of fruit and stuff. If I do get sweet cravings, I just had to remove it from my house. So, especially having a 2-year-old, he loves, candy and cake, and he likes to feed me. And so now me and him are both just eating apples whenever we have
It's
a sweet tooth.
It's hard
Mm-hmm.
because I mean, I've done a lot of reverses. I failed a lot of reverses. And you kind of have to fail a little bit to figure it
Yeah.
out. And it's hard to be perfect because you've just been restrictive for weeks and weeks and weeks. And so you feel like, oh, I worked out so hard that I deserve this.
Yeah.
In your mind, it's justified. I did so many hours of cardio. I should be able to handle this. But what you did to your metabolism is not, it doesn't work, right? Your mind
Yeah.
is that you're like, oh yeah, it's cake and brownie time. We did 4 months of dieting. It's time for the cakes and the
Yeah.
cookies. But it's the reality is like you like physically can't handle that food yet. Like you've been eating
Yeah.
nothing and you've been eating so clean that any ounce of sugars or carbs or dairy or whatever that you haven't been used to, even if it's just like red meat, if I eat red meat, I'm gaining like 2 pounds, 3 pounds the next day. Like it's just
Yeah.
like little things like that. You don't really realize how sensitive you are. So it takes time to reverse properly for your hormones. I think the worst cravings I ever had, they're not in prep. They're the month or two right after the show because you can, because
Yeah.
the gates are open and it's like, well, I don't
Yeah.
really have a show, so I can now. And so it's like
Yeah.
everything's on the table. It's like, oh my gosh, and you're still hungry because you're still technically like kind of in a deficit. You're still trying to do your cardio and everything. It's just the motivation's a little bit gone. You're not so great on it. It's hard after the show. And I'm glad that we've gotten to the point early that it didn't, sometimes it's the reverse goes really bad. Sometimes it's not. So it sounds like you kind of caught yourself at a good stopping point where now cravings are gone. And it is kind of crazy when you cut out the sugar cravings go away.
Yeah.
Like it
I
happens.
was Googling, I was like, how long do I have to go without sugar for the craving to go away? It's 4 days. 4 days
Yeah.
is what Google said. So
Yeah.
that's why I just told myself for 4 days, I was like, no, 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 no. And I would go to bed early to keep myself from snacking at night. My son's father would put our baby to bed because I'm like, I got to go to sleep. If I don't, I'm going to start eating. Like, and it just, it was miserable. And also there are two girls at my gym. I don't know them personally, but I know that they competed and their rebounds did not go well. And now they have a very negative look at the sport and just very negative about it. And honestly, seeing them every day, I was like, I don't want that. Like, I don't not so much their appearance, they're not like huge or anything, but they're not, they would never compete again, kind of, you know. And I was like, I don't want that mentality, because I had such, from the time me and my best friend got there to Orlando to the time we got home, it was the best experience of my life. Like, I loved every part of it. It was so much fun and so different than anything I've ever done, that it was just great to like work so hard at something. And even just like, I remember I was on stage and they were doing the call finals, and they were announcing the placings and stuff. I remember standing there and I was like, maybe I got fourth or fifth or something. So by the time they got to third place, I was like, oh well. Like, I wasn't mad, because I really went in with no expectation. And then they called me at second place. I remember I was standing there and I like didn't realize that they had called me, and I was like, oh crap. Like, it was crazy. And I was like, that was amazing. It was just such a good feeling to like win something, you know,
Yeah.
that you really worked for.
Yeah, it's a really good feeling when you have some type of success where it's like, man, all that suffering was worth it. And you can
Mhm.
actually say that there's very few things in life that you can full circle moment and get to the point where you're like, oh my gosh, that was worth it. Like, it's prep is really the only thing where what you do, like the input, you can expect output, right? The harder that I
Mhm.
input on cardio and adherence to my diet, the output is, I place better. And then
Yeah.
like it's addicting. It's like, oh my gosh, I get rewarded for being disciplined. Okay,
Yeah.
I love that. Like, then let's keep going. And the conversations that you have with yourself on stage, I wish someone could hear what's going on in everyone's
Yes.
head. It is hilarious because I remember thinking on stage and like I'm having like a full deep conversation with my head. And I mean, mind you, like you're at the end of your diet, right? You're still really like a day, you're pretty depleted still.
Yeah.
And you're peaking for stage. There's not a lot going on up here anyway. And then the stress of the show is just like, oh my gosh, okay, here's all this happening. So then, you're standing there and you're like, man, my feet hurt, my back hurt, I'm hungry, but wait a minute. Okay, here, focus, focus. It's like, all right,
Yeah.
here we go. It's like, okay, fifth. They're like, and you're just like praying, you're just like praying, like, and you're thinking about, okay, what in the world is my number? I'm like looking down, like, okay, I'm number 5. I'm like, whatever, just listen for that number. And you're like, you almost get a little dumb too, because it's the
Yeah.
lights on you. There's a lot of stimulation. You're just like looking, everyone's looking at you, and you're trying to smile and trying to hold your stomach in, and you're like, okay. And then they call the next, fifth place, fourth place, third place. And by the time they get to the top call outs, you're like, wait a minute, if I haven't been called, does that mean that I'm in it? And then they call you and you're like, oh my gosh, this is so amazing. So it happens. And they run finals quick. So you don't have a lot of
Yeah.
turnaround time. They're like, and third, if it fourth, it's fast. And so by the time that you get there, it kind of doesn't really you can't soak it in until like after you get off stage, it kind of like hits you. It's like a roller
Yeah.
coaster crashing. You're just like, whoa, what just happened? I just competed in my first show. Now I've gotten placings and everyone's excited for you. There's just so much excitement. So when did you said second place novice?
True novice, yeah. I did.
Okay.
I only did novice and open. I didn't do, or I did true novice and open. I didn't do novice. Obviously my next year I'll do novice and open, but yeah. So it was true novice.
Yeah. Like it's just such an excitement moment. And what were you thinking to yourself after that? Like when they placed you, were you thinking like, oh my gosh, like I'm excited? Were you wanting to go next? Like what was the thought process when you got second?
I was, uh, I was just, I'm trying to say it because I got a little teary eyed. I really wanted to do something that would make my kid proud of me one day. Because,
Mhm.
like I said, I grew up. My parents weren't. They didn't care that they had kids.
Yeah.
It was a kind of a crappy situation. So the first thing I looked at was my son, and my best friend was holding him, and he's like cheering, and I was like, I can't wait for him to get older enough to understand like my mom did this, like, and that was really a big driving force in it. Was like, I want my kid to be proud of me one day, and I want him to see like you can do whatever you want. Like if I can do this with a 2-year old, and for the first 16 months of it, I was breastfeeding, so that takes a toll on you. Let me tell you, it sucks. And it was just, I was more, it was just surreal. Like I felt so proud of myself for the first time in a long time. Because I'm not gonna lie, I was a quitter. Like I wanted to do it for so long, and I would talk to a coach but never sign up, or I would tell someone and they'd be like, "You're never." I remember I was dating this guy, and we had dated for a long time. We were together for over a year, and I had mentioned to him because I was talking with my friend Tara, and she was going to help me find a coach, and I really felt like I was at a position where I could do it. And I asked him, and I was like, "What do you think the percentage is that I'll actually make it to stage?" And he said, 49% I think you'll do it, 51% I think you won't. And I remember, and this was years ago, this was probably 5 years ago. And I remember I stepped off stage and I was like, I'm calling him. I'm calling him. Like, haven't talked to this man in 5 years, but let me tell you, buddy, you were wrong. And like, I remember when he said it, I felt almost defeated. I felt dumb, like even saying that I could do it. So it was something I wanted to do for so long. And finally doing it, it felt like I could do anything now, like, and it's helped me kind of come out of my shell and try new things. Now I'm training to be a boxing instructor at a boxing place here, something I would never do in my life, and it's just, it was a good feeling. It really, it's kind of like, if I can do this, now I can do anything. So.
I agree too. Yeah. That's why, so like when people are listening to this, I really hope that they understand like the stage is for anyone. You don't have to look like an Olympian pro athlete to step on stage to be accomplished. You don't have to win to compete. And I think that's where a lot of people go wrong. It's like you don't want to step on stage until you look like your dream body, right? Until you
Yeah.
that's realistically not going to happen. It's kind of, you have to start small and work your way up. The novice category is a lot different than the criteria for what you're seeing online, right?
Yeah.
You're seeing like nationals just happened. You're seeing like these crazy shows, these shreds, these girls that have been athletes for years and years and years, but rarely you're ever going to get to see, okay, who's someone that's in the middle of their transformation, just like their first one, the first prep, that's the true novices. And that's who you go up against the first time. The open class, yes, it's a little bit hard. Novice class, again, yes, it's a little bit harder, but like you can get so much benefit from just completing a prep alone, and that you can apply to the rest of your life, even if you only do one, and you just take that knowledge and just that little confidence of making it, right? Of having that commitment to yourself and saying, I want to do this, and then do it. Or I'm gonna, it's a long time. Prep isn't just like a day. It's a long time where you have to be adherent to your goals and your diet. So once you step on stage, it really does come full circle, and you're just like, oh my gosh, I'm just very proud of myself, and I'm so happy that I did this. And now it kind of helped me get out of being introverted a little bit, because you just are in such a better mood. You feel good about yourself. You're confident in your just abilities to do stuff. You're not really scared anymore. And just like, yeah, hey, if I can step on stage in a little bikini, then I can literally do anything.
Yep. Exactly.
So what advice would you have to someone that was like you, that has been wanting to step on stage for a very long time, that has not yet?
Honestly, just commit to it. Like the time when I committed myself to doing it, I was suffering from I had really bad postpartum depression. I was honestly, I was scared to leave my house for like 6 months. The only place I would go, I went to the gym at 4:30 in the morning because I knew no one would be there. And I didn't even think about it. I just made myself go. And I was at a really low point when I decided I'm doing it. You can't wait till things are perfect, because they're never going to be. And I will say, it helped me get out of that depression, and it helped me, I got friends at the gym now, and I'm not scared to go to the grocery store. I mean, that sounds crazy, but postpartum is such a something you don't know until you go through it, if you're going to have it or not. And you just gotta do it. You just gotta commit. It helped me. I told people, that way it kind of set an expectation, because people would ask about it every day. Like people in the gym, oh, how far out are you? What are you doing today? Kind of thing. So it kind of kept it front and center in my mind. Um, And yeah, the best thing I heard was to just take it one day at a time. If you're not perfect today, next morning wake up, be perfect then. Just one day at a time. Focus. I'd focus on 24 hours. What can I do from the time I wake up now till I go to sleep? And then tomorrow I wouldn't you obviously wake up and you're like, God, I messed up. And I'd be like, nope, wipe that from my mind, just start fresh. And
Mhm.
that really helped a lot. But yeah, I would just say you just gotta go for it.
Yeah.
And you can't wait for things to be perfect. I tried that and then I ended up pregnant and thought I would never do it. And then had my baby and I was like, I'm doing it now or never kind of thing. And
Yeah.
it really it changed my life. It that sounds crazy, but it did. Like it's so much, I don't know. It's just I feel so different now. Like
Mhm.
yeah, I did that. So few people do that. And it's a good feeling.
It is. It is a really good feeling. And it's just like you said, the prep, there's not a there's not a great time to start prep. It is super inconvenient to be on a diet for everybody else. Not for really for you, but just like and for you too. It's just life is gonna happen. The months are always in the same order. It's
Yeah.
like the holidays are always in the same order. You know when it's going to be Thanksgiving. You know when the holidays. You know everybody's birthday. You know that. Like they just keep rolling. The days, the weeks, they add up quickly. Life keeps going,
Mhm.
whether you decide to prep today or in 5 years, right? But you could start today and be in a really great spot a year from now, or you can wait a year and you're just pushing off your goals that much further. So
Yeah.
if you just get started and just realize I'm not going to be perfect at this and just give yourself some grace, like, hey, I'm going to make a lot of mistakes, but I'm going to learn. That's the only way that anyone ever starts is that they just started, right?
Yeah.
Everyone that you see that stepped on stage, the same thing. They were just like, one day I'm going to do it. That's it. There's no secret. It's just one day they made that decision themselves and they just said, okay, I'm doing it. That's it. There's no tricks. There's no secret. There's no get this done, this. There's no list. It's just decide to do it and then go in that direction.
Yeah. And then yeah, that's exactly what I did. And I signed up, I did the angel competition bikinis. I did one of their, because I'd never been on stage before. Let me tell you, I have stage fright, or I had stage fright. I was so terrified. So I did one of the fashion shows just to get on stage. And that was a good thing too, because it kind of helped. It wasn't my first time on stage anymore. I mean, obviously posing and everything is different, but I remember I was standing there about to walk on stage for the and I was holding onto the rails. I was like, I cannot do it. I can't do it. I can't do it. And I did. And then I got off stage. I was like, I did it. Like now I know I can do the show kind of thing.
Yeah.
Like it helped a lot. So maybe do something like that too. See if you like being on the stage before you commit to an actual show.
Which one was that?
I did the Tampa Pro one.
Oh, I wasn't there. I was like, dang
I
it.
know.
Okay. I was like, dang, I wish I was there. But yeah, no, our fashion shows are great stepping stools for any athlete to get practice. And there's not a lot of things where you can practice in a bikini before the judging really
Yeah.
counts. There's very, very few that you can still get an audience, be in a bikini, do the everything. It is like a mock kind of trial of
Mhm.
like get the stage fright out. And the more times that you're on stage just in general, the better and more confident. I still get nervous to be on stage. Like it doesn't go away. It just gets a little bit better, but it is still nerve-wracking when all your hard work is tested and just people are looking at you, like just having
Mhm.
an audience of strangers' eyes on you and you're in a small little bikini and whatever it is. It is always a little bit nerve wracking, but the more that you practice your posing, the more that you're confident in your preps, like the easier it gets as time goes on. So now you said you're off season prepping for shows like in a while, like a year or so. What is ultimate like long term, short term goals with competing?
I like to do like shorter, like more realistic goals one at a time. Like obviously I want to get first in one category. I'd like to win an overall. And I don't have any expectations on a pro card, obviously, but I I try to be very realistic because I don't like heartache, like kind of letting myself down. I want to win first place next, do better than I did the last show. My judges' feedback, thankfully, it was really good. Sandy was the head judge for mine. And I got feedback from her, and I can't remember the man's name. But there was another man there. Our coach, he knew him, so he gave us some pretty good feedback too, and just be better than I did last time. So it would all obviously be amazing to get my pro card one day, and I want to do this for years and years. But if it never happens, it doesn't. But I just enjoy the getting dressed up and like getting on the stage. It's just fun. It's like the whole day is worth the 20 weeks or 12 weeks or whatever you put in. That one day is so worth it to me. Like I didn't walk away with one bad memory or like, oh, I hate this part. Like even backstage talking to girls and like just meeting people and everyone's nervous and laughing and just the judges and the promoters, everybody was it was just such a fun environment. And even when I wasn't on stage, I was in the crowd with my son and I was watching the bodybuilders and stuff. And even that was fun. Like I loved just seeing it. It's such a good environment to be in. Like it was fun.
Show day is a good, well, show day is what you make of it, because I've had good show days and I'm crying because I'm pissed off at placings and I'm sad and you can do either. You can have a really good time competing regardless of how it actually goes. And just when you get to show day weekend, it should be fun. Like that is, it is a hobby for most. It is supposed to be fun. You've spent a lot of time, a lot of energy, and a lot of money, like to get to the stage. It should be a celebration of that journey and process, even throughout the whole day. You should get excited to get your hair and makeup done. It's like, whenever do you get your hair and makeup done besides like a wedding day or something? It's like as adults, there's not really a time where you can just get dressed up and it's like a whole day all about me. And here's my makeup, and I have beautiful full lashes and the extensions, and you got this amazing body that you look so good, and you got this crazy tan, and they're in sparkly shoes and all this stuff together, and all of us comes together, and you want to take pictures, and everyone's excited, the celebrations, and if you have your supporters or your family, like you go to eat and just you meet people and you share their stories. It's like, oh, okay, where are you from? Where are you from? How long did you prep? And it's fun. It's fun just to celebrate the hard work together. There's not a lot of like other events that are similar to a show day, but I'm glad that you are able to come and show like it's fun. I do appreciate that, because there are some parts where it is hard. It is hard to take a placing. It is hard to, put yourself out there on the stage for everyone to judge it, right? You could have said, oh gosh, I got second place, I suck, blah, blah, blah. But you didn't. You took it as a positive. You're like, I didn't even expect to do anything this guys say ever. And you don't always have to win to get something out of competing. And it's a subjective sport. So even at the highest level, you should really have no expectations, because they're just picking who they like. It's not a race. We're not looking for the fastest time where it's evident, or okay, your time is less than that time, so it's clear that you are the winner. It is, there's a random criteria. We like the shoulders, we like the glutes this way. Okay, we're gonna pick her today. We don't know. She just has the it factor of what we like. That's it.
And I think because I knew that's a lot of the reasons why I didn't set any expectations, because I didn't want to have a negative experience. I went in, want to say expecting to lose, but just expecting to get on stage and get off and that be it. Like I knew in that moment I looked better than I'd ever looked in my entire life, and that was the best feeling, because I was like, I look so good, and that in itself is a good feeling. Regardless of placing, just like looking at yourself and like not being scared to get on stage in a bikini, like that in itself is a great feeling. Right after I had my kid, or a couple years when I was partying and working in a bar, I wouldn't have gotten on stage in a bikini. Like, let me tell you that, so that in itself was just like, I think that makes it fun too.
Yeah, I love it. Okay. So we talked about for someone that hasn't been on stage before, and then just any advice, I guess, to yourself, or maybe if someone that's already stepped on stage once, like what is other advice for them to keep going?
I will say the first time you get on stage, it's nothing going to be like what you've played in your head. Like I went in, I was like, what if I fall? What if this? And I thought when you went on stage, my mind almost went blank. Like it was just it's almost like an outer body experience. Like you're doing your walk and you see the flashing and you see your friends in the audience and you see all these things, but at the same time it almost feels surreal. Like you're looking at the judges, but in that moment you're not really I don't want to say not care, but you're already doing it. So you can't change it now. So you're not thinking about it how you were the second before you stepped on stage. Because before I got on stage, I was like, I can't do this, I can't do this. And I got on stage and the judges' feedback was your confidence on stage shines. Like, and I'm like, are you kidding me? Like couldn't believe that, you know? And it's not gonna be don't overthink it because it's not no matter how much you think about it, it's not gonna be what you're expecting because
Yeah.
you've never done it before. So just I literally at times was like, don't think about it, just do it. Don't think about it, just do it. Like, and that's just how I had to do it because I am definitely an overthinker and will talk myself out of stuff. And it's like I didn't want to do that this time. I just almost didn't think about it. I was like, just go, just go, just didn't even give myself a chance. I guess like jumping out of airplane, just do it. Like, and
Yeah. Yeah. I love it. Is there anything that we haven't gone over with your journey that you wanted to make sure that we talked about?
um, I'm not sure. My mind just went blank. um, I would say like posing. Don't think you can watch because I thought I could watch YouTube videos or Instagram pages and figure out posing, and I couldn't. And I ended up hiring a posing coach in Orlando, and thank God she could squeeze me in. And she's amazing. I loved her. I could see her in the audience, and she was screaming for me. And she completely. I don't think I would have placed without her help, honestly, because when I went to see her, what I thought was good was not good. Like
Mhm.
I had no idea what I was doing, and I had practiced this stuff till I was blue in the face. And she was like, "Let me fix you. Like, let
Yeah.
me." Yeah. So, I think if you're gonna do it, like, do it right. Don't get the posing coach, get the good shoes, get the good bikini, get a good coach. Like, because it might be your one and only shot. So do it all. That's why I got the bikini of my dreams for my first show, and I got the shoes that obviously the shoe fairy like they're amazing. I love them. They're the most comfortable shoes. Like I did everything the best that I could because I wasn't sure if I was going to hate it and never do it again. So like really put everything you can into it. Like even if it's renting a suit or do what you want to do but do it right.
Yeah. I love that because I'm the same way for the first one. It's like, well, if I'm going to do it, I'm going to go all out because I don't want to leave any stones unturned, right? Like if you get to the
Mhm.
end and you kind of like not necessarily cheaped out, but it's like there's very little that's difference between first, second, third. Like there's very minimal things. Like if you're going to do something, like do it 100% to your ability just to try just
Mhm.
see, like just to see if you like it. Like there's nothing wrong with trying and not liking it and trying and failing. Like there's nothing wrong. But yeah, if you're gonna do it, like do it big, do it right, see if you like it. Cause I mean, if like like you ended up placing, right? And you had a good
Mhm.
time. So if you wouldn't have done those little things, like maybe it wouldn't have gone your way. Posing, I think, is a really big thing that often gets missed because we're just considering the physique part like long term the posing is like a make or break kind of thing especially like when you're learning. I think at the beginning a lot of people do neglect it because it's like, oh, it's my first one, I don't need it. It's like, no, that's when you're making the habits. Like that's the
Mhm.
habits that you're going to have for the rest of your competing career. So if you're even if you're like wanting to do this long term, just to do one session, at least one, then you can practice from there. But the posing is hard. It is very, very challenging. It's not natural to stand in like this weird twisted. It looks like it is because everyone that you see on stage is like practice it forever and ever,
Mhm.
for like 4 months. But it is not something that you skip out for posing, for, everything like that. But I'm glad that we're able to have you on for today and get to share your story. Let's see. So final piece of advice. What do you want to leave us with?
Um, One thing that helped me a lot, and I just learned this a couple months ago, like, because my biggest thing was confidence. I was like, I'm not confident. I'm not confident. And I saw this on Instagram and I was like, oh, that's cheesy, but it really resonated with me. It said the good thing about confidence is nobody knows if you're faking it or not. So, and once I saw that, I was like, I'm confident. And like, it's really helped. I mean, it sounds cliche, but people don't know. Like, if I walked out on stage scared to death, but the judges were like, oh my God, your confidence was through the roof. And I'm like, and that really helped. Like, just fake it till you make it. Like, no one knows what's going on in your mind but you. So just fake it, like the confidence. And it really does help because once how you speak to yourself and like telling myself I'm confident, I can do this, I can do this. It really helped because for a long time I was like, I can't do it, and I didn't do it. And then I was like, yes, I can, and thankfully it happened for me, and that is something that I saw that it really resonated with me. Like no one knows if you're faking your confidence, so might as well.
Exactly. I love that so much. And our final question of the day, are we team cupcake? Are we team protein shake?
Definitely team protein shakes. I love protein shake.
Okay. And what flavor and brand?
I do the CBum, the birthday cake.
Okay, I've never tried that.
It's so good. I eat it. I've eaten it every morning for probably the last year now with my cereal as my pre-workout, and I still don't get tired of it. It's so good. It's got sprinkles in it, so it's got a little crunch to it. It's so
Okay.
good.
Amazing. Well, thank you for coming on and sharing your story. If anyone wants to follow your journey online, where can they do so?
My Instagram is Haley wears bikinis.
Okay. I like it. It's very simple. All
Well,
right. Well,
I used to hand make bikinis, not competition suits, but like beach suits. That's what I did before I got pregnant, and
oh
so that it kind of fits now too because I compete in bikini, but it was for when I used to make them.
my gosh. Yeah. Okay. The sport was made for you, or you were
Yeah.
made for the sport. Either one. I'm glad that you found it.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Well, thanks for coming on. We'll get your episode up next year.
I can't wait. Thank you.
Thank you.